Welcome back, everybody. We have another returning and also very special guest with us this week. Welcome, everybody, Rob Stanley. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Hey, Rob.
Good to be on your show again, guys.
Yeah, it's I guess we did something right the first time to have you back. So
Oh, yeah, it's been great. It's been great, and you'd be surprised at how many people came to me and said that they first heard about the book on your show. So I'm
good.
here, and I'm thankful.
Oh man, that's gonna keep me going for another year, Chris. I don't know about you, but at least another year. I'm good.
Every so often, I set because people email us, and I send Mike the good ones.
Yeah, we've talked about the bad ones off air, but yeah.
But I sent it to him and be like, look, man, and I think, Rob, you were one of them last year where, like, you sent me that email saying, thanks for being on. A lot of people got to the book because of you and blah, blah. And I sent that stuff back to Mike to be like, see, we're doing something.
Yeah. Awesome. So thanks for that. So, I mean, yeah, you want to talk about the success of the first one? I mean, it seemed pretty popular to me, so.
The first one, for a first time Kickstarter, I've never really participated in one of my own. It attracted a lot of people from all over. I mean, I have people who got the book from the UK, from China, from here in the States, men, women, of various ages, and it just blew my mind that just like with this one, I set $1,000 goal, and it went almost to 1,400, and now the second one is $1 shy of 1,400. It's already eclipsed the first campaign, and what does my heart good is everyone from the first one has come back to buy the second. People who've only purchased the digital copy in the first one who went back and they're buying both copies, physical copies, in this Kickstarter.
That's so cool, man.
That's awesome.
I mean, so now you have a fan base now. There you go.
I was telling my wife it breaks my heart that I can't go to conventions because I can only imagine going. We have a convention on the East Coast called Monster Mania, and friends of mine have been telling me that like they would probably eat it up at that convention.
Oh yeah, that'd be so cool if you could get out there. But maybe, I don't know, maybe by the summertime we get out to conventions. But I mean, before we get too off track, let's just recap. For maybe we might have a couple more listeners this time around. But what is Brenna Barlow? I don't know. You want to give us an overview of what you're doing with this character?
The Bite of Brenna Barlow is about this telepathic blind vampire who has decided to stray from the norm of her family or kind and basically help the voiceless, the weak, use her powers to do good rather than evil. And of course, by her side, what attracted Chris to getting me on the show is her sarcastic doxing.
Mm-hmm.
And this second book is pretty much, it's a continuation. In this book, London Calling, she actually winds up going home to the UK for family matters, and it leads to a lot of drama that she really didn't anticipate.
And because spoilers, we may or may not have gotten an advanced copy to check out for ourselves. I like the I mean, yeah, we get some Brenna stuff, but now you're starting to world build a little bit, and we're getting a few more characters, and not trying to spoil anything, but we're definitely getting a few more interesting characters and a look into her past and these relationships she's developed, right?
Yeah, and you're nuts. And I will tell you, one character, Chantel, I just love writing that character.
Yeah,
she just makes me smile. She is just. I based her on a lot of different things, a lot of aspects from British television. There's a soap opera called Hollyoaks where there's a family like that who live in this garish, they're in like the rundown part of town, but they act like they're rich as can be. Mm-hmm. And they talk like that, and I'm like, that would make a good best friend for Brenna. So there's like a Laverne and Shirley vibe going with those two.
Yep.
So now, to anyone that doesn't know, you live fairly close to Mike and I up in the Northeast and of the U.S. That is. So you're writing for British characters a lot in this issue. did you already have like a love for British TV or any British culture, or did you just dive yourself into all that?
I've been a big Anglophile. That's what they call big fans of. I've been since I was young. Since my grandmother and I would turn on PBS and watch Faulty Towers and Are You Being Served and Benny Hill. And it just got bigger and bigger as I got older. I have a lot of friends over in the UK. A lot of friends were plugging this book that I got a lot of UK response because of them. So I try to make it as authentic as possible. It's not going to be like, Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins, It's going to be authentic. I'm not going to stereotype the UK. It's going to be as authentic as I can get in something like this.
Yeah.
Real quick, that's the third time Dick Van Dyke's been mentioned on this show in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's great. You would think in a modern day comic book podcast we would never bring up Dick Van Dyke, but it comes from a little bit of WandaVision, but still, it's like, man, I wouldn't think I would have to, like, before an episode, go research Dick Van Dyke and like the way he wrote TV before we do an episode. But here I am. But yeah, I really, I enjoyed the second issue. I enjoyed the first issue. The second issue, though, it's really good. I'm obviously London Calling. You end up in London, right?
Yes.
But like you said, you get these other characters, and they feel like they kind of fit into the story now. And now I can see where you're developing an overarching story, right? Like there's a bigger picture coming out of this second issue.
Yes, and of course, as you saw, now the book has its villain. And backers of the first Kickstarter who got the Origins PDF stories kind of know a little bit more about this villain, more so than coming in. But I still even have it on the second Kickstarter where you can get those origin stories, so you can kind of get your feet wet and kind of see where this is coming from. But I really enjoy, again, I enjoy writing all these characters, but in this book, it seemed like everything kind of fit together.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. And we get some more, of the dog's thoughts on on some of the garbage television that he's forced to watch too. And stuff like that.
Most important part of the book.
Yeah. Yes.
I guess
thoughts on British reality.
Yep. So for you, how is it? How is it difficult to write like the perspective of a dog, or is it just like most of the things that he's observing just seem ridiculous to him to begin with? You know what I mean? Or
I get a lot from just looking at my pets and the way they look at me sometimes. Like sometimes I could, just cleaning around my house, singing to myself, and my cat looks at me like I'm on drugs. And it's just, I can imagine an animal, kind of, and the way Gary, as I've said in the past, Gary is based on a dog that we had who passed away in 2018. But the way I would look at him, he was especially like expressive, and there were times where I looked at him and he looked at me like he wanted to have me committed. So I try to figure that, get that in there. He's like the voice of reason, and even now I'm starting to get in little scenes now where he breaks the fourth wall down, and it's really clicking well.
Okay, awesome. And so let's talk about the Kickstarter really quick. You're almost at the goal. And I know you had some mention of stretch goals too. Can we talk about that a little bit? Or?
Actually, in the matter of 24 hours, I reached the goal. Whereas the last Kickstarter, it took practically half the Kickstarter. Right now, I am $399 over the goal. Another $101 will open the first stretch goal, which is a pinup preview of the next issue's cover. And I gotta say, Jenny Gorman, who did the cover, the next issue is called Past Impossible. He did an awesome job. It is one of the best covers I've seen in some time.
So cool. And yeah, that's another thing from the second issue too that I didn't bring up yet, but with Brenna being so as old as she is, right? There's something going on here where you could really just keep telling more and more stories about these relationships she's had with people over the, I don't know how hundreds of years that she's been alive, right? I mean, there's a lot of story there.
She's about 140 years old, give or take a few years.
Okay.
And yeah, you see how she affects, especially you see how she met Chantel and did different things. There's a lot of everything, a lot of things interweaving here with this story, this particular one. I kind of look at the first book as kind of like the pilot, and then this is where everything really starts to like speed up and really get interesting.
Okay. And I mean, you're already talking about issue 3, but your plan moving forward, do you have like, you know, a bigger picture here to just keep pushing issues out?
I have this mapped out. I have it mapped out in a limited form right now, and that's how I originally had it mapped out until, you know, my wife gave me a lot of what if scenarios with the story, and then I'm like, oh, well, that's good. Maybe it shouldn't. Oh, well, never talk to your significant other when you're plotting a story. It's almost November in 2019 when I was home and I was sick, and now they're saying that I might have had COVID back then in 2009. I was home. I couldn't watch my kids. I was just weak as can be. I plotted this out, and then, of course, just one conversation with Stephanie, and it's like, oh, well, maybe it can continue beyond that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you have a fan base now, so you can't disappoint them.
Yeah. Oh, no. And I had one gentleman who pledged the tier to get killed off in the next issue, and he like with everyone that backs it, I always message them, thank you. I thank them, you know, because I want them to know I'm very grateful for whatever you can, you know, whatever interest you could show in my project. Right. And he says to me, I am so excited to see how you make me die, and that's like the big compliment for a horror comic writer right there.
Right. That's awesome.
So you got all these different tiers. You got some cool things, including getting drawn into the book or into future issues of the book. But you also have some variant covers available. Talk about some of those.
Well, the one variant cover is an homage to the old Beatles' Abbey Road, and it seems to be getting a lot of interest from a lot of different people. And that was done by Benjamin Philby, and he worked in the first project with me. He is an excellent horror artist, and the way he did that and the way it looks, I think it's one of the best covers I've seen. But even the standard cover, if you want to call that, by my artist Greg Woronchak, is a take on old horror comics from the 50s and 60s, and I think that even comes out. I mean, both covers look amazing with the artwork that is offered in this Kickstarter. I have so many talented people behind me and helping me. You can't go wrong whatever you choose.
Yeah, I love that standard cover. It's really cool, and it does kind of give me the feel of like old school, you know, Marvel horror books, and of course the Dachshunds right there, giant picture of them. So.
Yeah, I think it's a great preview of what comes into the book. Like, you see the different characters that are being added. It kind of gives like a little glimpse. Oh, this is what's coming up, and a lot of people seem to like the way that looks.
Yeah, and I know myself, I'm eyeing the CGC copy for $45 because that's a steal to me. So.
That is something a friend of mine who has done several successful Kickstarters kind of said you should throw that in there. Just like he said I should throw a retailer tier in there just in case. So I tried to make sure there were all different avenues covered with the different tiers. I mean, I had some great tiers in the first one, but I think this one is a wider variety. And again, it seems like the one that got the most attention was getting killed off in the next book, because I originally had it for just one person to back, and someone who backed the first book messaged me and said, is that going to open up again? And I'm like, well, I can do some rewriting, and I opened up another one just for him, so he gets to get killed off in issue 3 too.
Oh, that's all. And I mean, $125. I mean, if you're a horror fan, that's like the best way to go out, is get killed within the, you know, whatever you're reading, or watching, like that's a steal for that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, I got a lot of interest in the first book, the first Kickstarter, where you appear in it, and
Yeah.
I had fun fighting that in there. But just getting killed off, it just seems like horror fans just want to get killed off somewhere. So I'm like, okay. I told my wife, I said, you know what? I said I might have to rewrite issue 4 to see if the next Kickstarter more people get killed off.
It's amazing.
So I'm sorry, I'm going through the Kickstarter, and I missed this the 2 or 3 times I looked through it, and I'm very intrigued by this one. So I want you to talk about it. It's Pop Goes the Vampire tier, where you get the book, but you also get a custom Funko Pop of Brenna and Gary.
Yes, there is an amazing customizer out there named the Funko Boss, Kelly, and she's going to make a custom pop of Gary and Brenna together for whoever backs that tier. And she actually has done custom pop of British soap characters for me. She does amazing work. She does the custom box. You're not just going to get a Funko. You're not going to pop. You're going to get a custom made box too that has the show or the book logo and everything. She really does amazing work.
That's awesome. That is so cool.
That's cool. I always, when I look at these Kickstarters, and having done one and being in the the ecosystem and everything, I love something original and unique. And I can honestly say I've never seen someone do an exclusive Funko Pop for their Kickstarter. So that's super cool.
Yeah. That's
I know that people collect them, and again, a lot of people say, "Oh, this is a great tier," and I'm just happy I'm getting this positive response. I'm happy that everyone likes what's out there to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a testament too of like it seems like the more interest you get, the more you want to do for the fans too, right? I mean, now we have all these cool options of products to get, and I know, like myself, I'm going to get the CGC graded just because I don't know, I like the hard plastic, and sometimes I speculate, I don't know, and this might, I mean, who knows, it's going to end up as a TV show one day. No,
God willing, it becomes a TV show and Georgie Porter from Hollyoaks stars. That's why I keep on telling everyone, hoping it gets out there to her.
Yep.
Georgie Porter, look it up. If you look her up, you'll see why I want her.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, this is, and how many days left? We pretty much have the rest of the Kickstarter to go. I mean, it's.
I did a longer duration.
Mm-hmm.
Just so I could be home, because the one mistake I made with the last Kickstarter was because I guess I didn't add up the days like I should have. I had it end while I was at work, so it was driving me crazy to see if it was fulfilled. I mean, it was already fun. It was already like at its goal, but you never know if anyone can pull out or whatever. And it drove me crazy. Where I didn't find out until I got home from work, because where I work, I can't just like pick up and leave and go back and look at my laptop. By the time I had that ended, I already had my last break. This, I planned it where it ends on Valentine's Day. I am off the whole weekend. I get to watch everything unfold, whether it goes up or down or stays the same. And I wanted it longer just because I like doing these shows. I like talking to guys like you. I like getting it out there because, again, like I said before we started, you can't really go to conventions now. You can't really go anywhere physically. So this is how you get out there. And I'm very thankful for what you guys do.
Awesome. Well, I mean, yeah, we're thankful for having you on the show. So, and we're going to keep having you on the show because you say such nice things about it. So, I mean, if our listeners, viewers haven't followed you or looked at your projects yet, I mean, where can we send everybody, Rob, to get them looking at you?
Well, on Kickstarter right now, it's a Bite of Brenna Barlow, London Calling. On Twitter, I am it's Mr. Stanley. That's my handle. And then you could even look my writing page up on Facebook, which is just Rob Stanley. I tag you guys, I tag your show a lot, so if they look up your show, they'll probably find me. I always make sure I get you guys out there just like you get me out there.
Yep. Thanks, man. We appreciate that.
Yeah, and to everybody out there, if you look in the show notes down below, I'll have a link to the Kickstarter, so you can just click on that and get in straight into the book. It's a really great series. I highly recommend it. It's not just because it has a wiener dog in it. Rob, thanks so much for being on again, man.
Yep.
The book's already funded, so it'll be great to get our hands on a physical copy of it, and we look forward to seeing you again for issue 3, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. Keep up the great work.
You too.